What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So I purchased another P320. I say another because I already have two. I have the carry version in 45, and I have the M17, and now I have a P320 in 9mm. So, am I an idiot? Am I going to be, is it going to kill me? Will I shoot myself in the leg? We shall see. But there were several reasons why I purchased this. One, this is a police trade-in that I picked up from AIM Surplus. The value of these has sunk like a rock. All right, these currently at the time of filming this video, and this is in the middle of all the SIG's crap going on, these are currently $319. Now, manual reviewer, if the algorithm happens to kick this up and I appeal it or whatever, I'm not selling guns, manual reviewer. I'm just telling you what I paid for this particular gun, okay? I am not selling guns. But these things are super cheap, okay? And I believe we as in the community, the YouTube community, the firearms community, the community on X and all these other forums and all this other stuff are really close to solving the issues on this. Now, there's a channel out there, and I will put a link to the video called, I think the channel's name is it's called 3 P320s in a Trench Coat. And he seems to have solved half the issue. Now, he fully admits that he has not been able to solve why the sear would release the striker. But he has found an issue with the sear on why it is also deactivating the striker safety. So please go watch his video if you haven't seen it, but I'll give you a brief summary. He explains 2 failures need to happen for these to go off uncommanded. 1, the sear needs to slip off of the striker, and 2, the striker safety has to engage up. And he has figured out the issue, and he has come up with what I think, after watching it, a lot of people in his comments and stuff like that say he solved half the problem. I think it's a fix because it completely deactivates the movement of the sear. I'll show you a little bit about what he's talking about. We'll tear it down here. So what he is talking about, and the funny thing is I did the little test that he has in the video, and this gun has a potential for it happening. Now, SIG is adamant about this gun not being able to fire without the trigger pull. However, because of the way the sear right here is designed, if it moves independently, watch me push down on, let me make sure I can, you see that? He demonstrates in his video, if you push down on the sear and your trigger comes back and snaps like that, do you see this little bar right here lift up? Watch it lift up. Watch this little bar. See that lift up? That is the bar, the lever that deactivates this striker safety right here. So, theoretically, without touching the trigger, but you see it sympathetically moves, theoretically, if the sear was to drop, and I'm not touching the trigger, and it clicks like that, see how quickly the striker lever right there moves up? Theoretically, this could fire uncommanded. Now, he takes apart there, he shows the design. There is a tail on the back of this that engages with the thing. He cuts that off, and then he demonstrates how the sear now moves independently and does not move any of the other, to include the lever right here, the striker safety disconnect lever. That's what I'm calling it. It might be called that, but the striker safety disconnect lever right here, it does move. So all this stuff moves independently of the sear without moving the trigger. And I bought this gun. I watched his video. I had seen these on AIM Surplus, And I said, I'm going to buy that and try it right there. So what I'm going to do with this gun is, in the near future, I'm going to shoot it just as I have bought it, and I expect it to work, just as I have purchased it from AIM Surplus. And then I'm going to come in here, and I probably won't show it on video because YouTube doesn't like that stuff, but I'm going to come in here. I'm going to take apart the FCU, get the sear out, and I'm going to cut that tail off, just like he did in his video, put it back together. We're going to take it out there, and I'll demonstrate it. We're going to take it out there and shoot it again and see if it works. Now, he mentions this in his video. I'll mention it in mine. SIG does not approve of this. This is not a SIG approved modification. I don't recommend you do this. I'm going to do it to my gun. If it works, I'll probably do it to my other two. And it solves, and he admits in his video, it at least solves half of the issue where there is virtually no way, and he might not be saying it that way. I'm saying it this way though, but there is virtually no way that this can be accidentally, without a failure of the spring or something in there, accidentally pushed up in the striker. So if your sear does slip off of this striker hook right here, the lever does not lift up and push out of the way, allowing it to go forward and strike a primer. So it solves half the issue. He fully admits that, and it's stumping a lot of people, that there's no real thing that he can see of why the striker hook would slip off the sear without touching the trigger. So we shall see on that. And it seems like that this was not a problem with these guns till after the voluntary upgrade to make them drop safe. So you either had one that was potentially not drop safe if it hit on a certain angle, and now it seems like post upgrade, this is where we see admittedly very rare uncommanded discharges, but rare with this type of product can be deadly. Again, this is not something that SIG recommends. I'm not going to show you how to do it. I'm not going to explain it fully. Just gave you the Cliff Notes version. I'll put a link to his video below. Go watch it. It is fantastic. I think he has 3 or 4 videos, only has 3 or 4 videos on his channel, and they all address this stuff. And he shows how two basically identical guns, his and his friends, I think they're X5s, his friend will fail the test, his will not. But that seems to be an at-home modification for that. Now, and I want to say, it seems like the community, SIG, I gotta, hit SIG on this. Again, I like the 320. I think it shoots good. My 45 is super accurate. M17's not bad either. We'll see what the accuracy is like on this one. But I think they shoot great. I like the grips better than like a Glock 19. Glock 45 I think is awesome. I think this is kind of like a Glock 45, a full-size grip, shorter barrel, upper, virtually. It's just similar, not exactly the same or anything like that, of course. But I think because of SIG's current litigation, I think SIG has a pretty, and this is just speculation, allegedly, right? SIG's lawyers, allegedly. I think they have a good idea of what's going on, and SIG has been known, and they're not the only company that does this, but SIG has been known to do rolling changes to their products without adding A1s, A2s, asterisks, Mark 2s, Mark 1s, without adding anything. They just quietly roll in issues and just let the market kind of do it without saying anything. And they might be doing that. And, there's a controversy of them recently changing their manual and saying, don't carry the gun with a round in the chamber. Why would you say that? And they go, well, other gun companies do it. Yeah, but yours didn't have it in there until at the time of filming this video, like 2 weeks ago. So it looks a little shady with the timing. But again, I believe there is a substantial amount of money involved, it's up to us in the gun enthusiast community to come up with at-home fixes. And there's some other companies, I think it's called, don't quote me on this, SIG Mechanics, SIG something. There's a guy out there that was going to come out with a retrofit kit, and then he said he saw some more info and they got to go back to the drawing board and yada, yada, yada. So that might be a fix for it. But my question to that is if it's not a real possibility, why would you have an upgrade? Maybe it's just peace of mind. I know I would not carry any of these guns with a round in the chamber, just on the off chance, as small as it might be, that it might go off and shoot me. But with that video, I gotta say, you gotta watch the video. It is very convincing on how everything's working in here. And when he takes that little tail off, which doesn't seem to do anything except interact with the trigger bar in here, all this stuff moves independently like a 365, which he shows you. In a 365, it doesn't have that, and everything moves independently, and there's no trigger movement on this, as there is. Let me push down again. Look at that. And he also mentions in his video, if it does that click, it has the potential to fire uncommanded. So that's what the deal with this is. I hope that I think we are on the cusp. One of the reasons, like I said, I bought it was super cheap. And I think we're on the cusp as a community of fixing this gun and taking away any doubt that you might have gotten 1 in a million that could go off. But there's enough people that have been shot and accidentally shot and almost shot by them going off in the holsters that it's put the heebie-jeebies in people's, And then the way SIG handle, that's my biggest problem with it. I don't have too much of a problem with their products, except especially their hammer-fired handguns. I love those things. The P226, like Mark 25 and stuff, awesome. P229, my P229 and 357 SIG, awesome gun. But this one's catching a lot of heat, and I think I did another video about how companies handle mistakes, controversies, recalls, stuff like that. And I think they're just really screwing the pooch on that aspect. That's my biggest issue with SIG, is the way that they are handling their customers and stuff like that. But that's the purpose of this video. Watch out for future videos on this gun. Yeah, I think that's it. I was gonna, mention, that's what I was gonna, getting old. We're in the middle of, at the time of filming this video, it's now close to the end of May 2025. And what's in the gun company, in the gun community, we're in what's called the Trump slump. Usually when pro-gun or perceived pro-gun presidents get into office, people relax, they take a deep breath, and they slow down their spending, their panic buying. They don't panic buy as much because there's no perceived threat of bans and all that other kind of stuff. So inventory goes way up, prices go way down. Guys, don't stop buying. Now is the time to buy. This, again, $319? $319 for a police, and this thing's in great shape, man. For a police trade-in, SIG P320, carry with metal night sights, okay? Night sights and a 17-round magazine. $319. At the time of filming this, my buddy and I, Chris, from the Muffin Top Tactical Podcast, and I'll talk about that too. We were doing the podcast. We were surfing AIM Surplus while doing the after hours. And he comes across, he's like, what? Colt M4s, law enforcement trade-ins, removable carry handle, all the jazz, right? They look a little beat up in the picture, like they've been carried around in a cruiser a lot. That's fine. $699 for a Colt law enforcement stamped receiver trade-in. $600. Everything's going cheap. The prices are falling because there's not much demand and the inventory is getting up there. If you got a little bit of extra money, guys, I personally recommend this is the time to buy. Not wait until the panic happens and then everybody's out there rushing for it and then the prices go up and everybody's like, I gotta get my hand on an AR-15. I just saw, again, YouTube, not selling guns, okay? Not selling guns. But I just saw a major company that's a classic, all right? Classic in the industry. They're a classic in the industry. Selling Radical Firearms AR-15s for $349. Bro. So there it is, guys. Let me know what you think about the SIG P320 in general. Do you think, after you watch the video, If you want to come back and comment, do you think it was a legit video? Do you think that modification will work? We're going to see, because I'm going to do it on this gun, and we are going to find out. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.